Let me bring in former Union Minister for Women and Child Development, Renuka Chaudhry, also Congress MP. Ma'am, thank you so much for speaking to NDTV. In India, there is currently 149 million people who are above the age of 60, which represent 10.5% of the population. And reports are suggesting that by 2050, this figure is going to surge to 347 million, which will be around 28.8% of the population. So if there are concerns over aging population, then why should RSS chief's statement be seen in a negative light?
No, we are not seeing it as negatively. We are just amazed and amused that we have to keep producing children to, I don't know, fill what unmet need. I'm not understanding that. And on top of that, what are the facilities? If you look at our aging population, we are not going to end up like Japan and Germany, which have negative growth. Japan has negative growth. So it's not as if we are going to but yes, we are having an increasing aging population. But listen, you've got to solve the fundamentals. You need jobs. We're educating our children. We're jobless. They're going around, so no one's getting married because no one's willing to give a girl to a boy who doesn't have a job, or vice versa. And the girls are getting smarter and they don't want to get married at all to start with. So there are social issues which need to be addressed first, primarily. And it's no longer, it's like those supposedly progressed nations which reduce their childbirth and are in trouble today. But then if we want to have increased our childbirth, you have to facilitate. It's very difficult getting school admissions. It's even more horrendous that you pay the kind of fees that you do for medicine and engineering, and then you roam around jobless, well past your prime, because you're not getting life partners who are willing to stay with you when you're jobless. So I think joblessness is a huge issue that the government has to address before preaching to us about how many children we should have.
Ms. Chaudhry, one concern which has been shared by the RSS chief is that if there are not enough children, then who will really protect the language and culture? Do you think this is needed for ensuring that our heritage is protected?
This is oversimplifying matters, and it's really apples and oranges. How does that even compare to the social reality? First of all these happy bachelors in the RSS are talking about us women having to have children to save the nation, save the culture, save the community, and save the religion. But all these happy men who have never ever managed to get married or looked after children and brought them up, do they realize the reality of bringing up children today? Is there any understanding? Do they realize what it means? Do you know how tough it is to bring up a child with adulterated food in the market, with crime against women and children climbing every year, with unemployment soaring, with husbands losing their jobs, the housing situation for the poor? There's so many issues. So it's not enough that this responsibility falls on us women, where we have to supply these 3 children in order to uphold the nation or community or whatever else you want. So that's oversimplifying, saying that this will conserve the cultures and all. It's not like other nations who don't have children don't have cultures. They do have cultures, and they conserve and preserve in a different way. I'm not saying don't have children, but please, before we preach like this, make sure that you have a social atmosphere where it facilitates a mother to happily give birth. Maternal mortality still remains a challenge. We have small incremental improvements, but not enough. And we are educating our girls, and there are no jobs anywhere. So, I mean, there's so many issues that need to be addressed.
Do you think the question is also of resources that has to be addressed? The larger question is that childbirth often affect women's mental health. We have been emphasizing also on the choice of motherhood. Why should men be deciding for women here?
This is exactly what I said. This is precisely, I said, all these happy bachelors will decide how many children we've got to have. And we know the social and reality of what it is to bring up a child and keep the child safe and ensure that they reach adulthood. When the day this country gives us adequate budgets in women and child, if you see their only cuts, there's no real growth in women and children. And you see malnutrition and stunting going on even today. And put their money where their mouth is. If the budgets of family welfare, women and child welfare, all these education, if you invest more in these areas, then we can think about talking like this. But without that, forget it. Sorry.
Okay, last question to you. Do you think there is a larger problem of understanding fertility problem in India? The fact is that India's fertility rate is declining, but India is also the most populous country.
No, fertility rates are dropping not just in India. It's an old international phenomena that's happening. Male sperm counts have dropped all over the world. And it's ironic that the populous country in the world have so many fertility clinics all around the corner. There is a huge phenomena that is happening where the human pheromones are being desensitized because of all the phthalates and perfumes that we advertise and use. And the natural pheromones which people could scent and accept from each other have vanished into the polluted air, not even the thin air. So the fertility rates are dropping to some extent, but not to the extent where we start producing children. And certainly women are not in the rabbit mode where we produce children to satisfy the RSS and the BJP's urging. Because they've got to really put their money where their mouth is. This is what I've been saying. How many children has RSS brought up? How many people have they adopted or have they looked after or produced? And do they even understand what it is to be a woman in this country and to bring up a child also? And yes, we need to have the choice and control over our bodies. We had a whole lot of our in utero killings of girl children. And we barely stumbling out of it. We barely got out of it where a girl child is bumped off even before she's born. And this was something that we had pointed out. I had pointed out and passionately followed in so many ways to ensure that pregnant women had the right to choose whether they had to abort a girl child or not. And there's no respect for women until the woman becomes the central figure of her family, where the family invests in her health and well-being. How many household budgets actually look at investing in a woman's health? The woman herself denies herself so many simple, accesses to better health and better nutrition. And until people realize that she is the central figure, then this business of saying Mother Earth and all, there's going to be no mother around very soon. So they've got to understand that before they preach to us and tell us what to do. It actually smacks of hypocrisy because they haven't got their act together. Why is it our responsibility to produce children to whole cultures? You go ahead and do what you have to do to set things right.